following what he described as unusual public complaints. A notice seen in Abuja confirmed the review meeting would bring together Vice Chancellor, Provost, rectors, school principals, examiners, and technical experts to scrutinize the examination process and address the widespread dissatisfaction expressed by candidates and stakeholders. This development comes in the wake of mounting protests from candidates and parents over the results released last Friday, with many alleging technical glitches and inconsistency during the exams. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. Still on the Punch newspaper for this morning, and I'm reading the stories that made it to the front page with the story that says political firefight. Saraki panel mobilizes PDP bigwigs against the faction. The People's Democratic Party, serving the former Governor Reconciliation Committee, led by former Senate President Bukola Saraki, had a meeting with members of the party's National Working Committee on Monday to address the recent waves of defections, the issues of the National Secretary, and other related issues. Sources revealed that the meeting, which included PDP Acting National Chairman Umar Damangon, National Organizing Secretary Umar Bature, and National Legal Advisor Kalmadin Ajibade San, primarily aimed to address the surge in defection and settle the dispute over the National Secretary position. Since the 2023 election, the PDP has been marred in internal crisis. Tension escalated following a fallout between Rivers State Governor Sim Fumbara and his predecessor Nenson Wike, compounded by leadership struggles in the South-South zone and the ongoing vacancy of the National Secretary position since 2024. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for today, the 14th of May 2025. If you're just tuning in, this is JDN Radio 101.5 FM, broadcasting for all. And this is Newspaper Review. And we are looking at the stories that made it to the Punch newspaper for today, the 14th of May 2025. And I have the story that says 9 banks earn 2.3 trillion naira interest on 61.6 trillion naira loans. And here is the details. 9 Nigerian banks disbursed a total of 61.69 trillion naira in loans to customers and earned 2.31 trillion naira in net interest income during the first quarter of 2025. An analysis for their financial statement for the period ended March 31st, 2025 shows that loans represent a marginal increase compared to 61.26 trillion naira recorded in December 2024, while the 2.21 trillion net interest income shows significant growth from the 1.6 trillion naira recorded in the first quarter of 2024, representing a 41.72% year-on-year rises. And the story continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. And then I have the story that says fuel import ban fears reignite Dangote marketers' role. And here is the story. Oil marketers have declared that the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and others in Nigeria may raise the pump price of petrol to 1,500 naira per litre once there is an outright ban on fuel importation. While the National Publicity Secretary of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Chinedu Ukadike, affirmed that the Petroleum Product Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria says Petron could not predict any price, but stressed that there will be a surge in price if the federal government stops fuel importation. And the story continues on and on the Punch newspaper for this morning. It's the News Super Review on JDN Radio 101.5 FM, and I'm still looking at the stories that made it to the Punch newspaper for this morning, the 14th of May 2025. With this headline that says, Federal government voided June 12 to avoid paying Abiola 45 billion naira, says Lamido. And here is the story. Former National Secretary of the defunct Social Democratic Party and ex-governor of Jigawa State, Sule Lamido, has linked the annulment of the June 12, 1993 presidential election won by the late MK Muritala Mohammed. According to Lamido, the military refused to pay Abiola the debt after General Mohammed died. And when Abiola won the June 12, 1993 presidential election, they decided to annul it for fear that if sworn in as President, Abiola would recover the 45 billion naira debt, a situation which might bankrupt the country at the time. And for more stories, continues on the Punch newspaper for this morning. Headlander says, I remain focused on reforms despite criticism, says Tinubu. And here is the story. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu yesterday says despite stringent criticism, he would remain focused on his reform programs, which are already yielding fruit. He spoke in Abuja during the public presentation of the autobiography of Malam Sule Lamido. The 500-page book is titled Being True to Myself. And the story continues on The Nation for this morning. Newspaper, APC takes majority in Senate to 68. Yesterday's defections of three People's Democratic Party PDP senators from Kebbi State into the All Progressive Congress APC has taken the ruling party's majority to 68 members in the Red Chamber. The three senators, Adamo Alero, Kebbi Central, Yahaya Abdullahi, Kebbi North, and Gaba Maidoki, Kebbi South, dumped their party for the APC at Piminari. The trio on Friday visited President Bola Ahmed Tinubu at the villa in Abuja to finalize the defection plan. And for more on that, it's on The Nation for this morning, the 14th of May, 2025. If you're just tuning in, this is JDN Radio 101.5 FM, and you are listening to the newspaper review. And I have The Nation with me with this headline that says, "Why we are not applying for loan," by Southeast student. South and Southeast students have given reasons for their low participation in the Nigerian Education Loan Fund (NEL Fund). Some of the students told that they had past knowledge of the scheme, others were uninterested in it, while those with a passive idea blamed poor sensitization by relevant authorities on the benefits. Others says they are wary of the repayment terms. Many parents and stakeholders from the two geopolitical zones aligned with the student. They listed ego, perceived marginalization, and lack of trust as other likely contributors of the student with low interest in the scheme. And the story continues on and on The Nation for this morning. Taking this headline from Daily Post that says Boko Haram redeploys sufficient personnel. Senate tells Nigerian military after killings of soldiers. The Senate on Tuesday urged the Nigerian military to swiftly redeploy sufficient personnel to the northeast following the killings of 12 soldiers in the Mati town of Borno State by insurgents. The upper chambers asked the military to ensure that they are adequately equipped with modern technology to effectively address the resurgence of Boko Haram. It also urged the Committee on Army and Air Force to make sure they comply. And the story continues on Daily Post for this morning, the 14th of May, 2025. And as you know that on newspaper review, we want you to be part of the conversation. And I will be quickly reading out the headlines of the stories that I've read this morning. And I'll be starting with the Punch newspaper, where this headline that says mass failure. JAMB VCs to review UTME results Thursday. Political firefight. Saraki panel mobilizes PDP bigwigs against defections. 9 banks earn 2.3 trillion naira interest on 61.6 trillion naira loans. And fuel import bans fears reignite Dangote marketers' rose. And also on the Punch newspaper, federal government voided June 12 to avoid paying Abiola 45 billion naira, says Lamido. And that is the stories that I read out on the Punch newspaper for this morning. And the headlines I read from The Nation for this morning, it's I remain focused on reforms despite criticism, says Tinubu. And also, APC takes majority in Senate to 68. And why we are not applying for loans by South and Southeast students. And those were the stories I read. And then I moved quickly to Daily Post since the headline Boko Haram redeploys sufficient personnel. Senate tells Nigerians military after killings of soldiers. And those are the stories I've read out for this morning on Newspaper Review. If you want to be part of the conversation, you have a contribution on any of the stories